control. Gravity is all that I know. She's over me. She's over me. She caught me with her hypnotic dance. She holds me here with only a glance. She's over me. She's over me.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, welcome to the Paranormal Portal. I'm your host, Brent Thomas, and you are here with me. So thank you for that. I appreciate it because it'd be really awkward to be doing this alone. Thrilled you guys are here. Thanks so much. And it is Thursday night. We had a great night last night with Robin on the show. Robin Moonshadow, of course, joined us last night here on the 2-hour portal. Well, it was an hour and 45 minutes because there was a hell of a lot of screwing around because of the issues. I'm still using the old way of streaming live, but it's working. So I don't really care. At this point, I needed something that works. So that's what we got. And so be it. But how you guys doing? I hope you're having a great night. The phone lines will be open throughout the course of our show tonight. If you want to call in and be a part of it, you're more than welcome. The phone number is 720-923-0500. 720-923-0500. You'd think I'd commit that to memory at some point, but so far it's not working. I just always have to look because I don't know. I transpose numbers and names and stuff. It's just kind of my jam. So you got that going for you. I got that going for me. But thank you to those of you who stuck around last night in light of all those problems, and you waited and stuck around until the show actually did begin. Oh, God, it was just a horrible nightmare of technical difficulties. I think I might actually have taught Robin some new cuss words because she was on Skype with us while I was trying to wrestle with that, and I think she knew most of them, but I might have introduced her to a few new ones. But yeah, I was plenty flustered, but that's just how it goes. The pack will eat all of you. Well, there you go. Thanks, Ethan, for that. Woo-woo. Remember, tomorrow night, ladies and gentlemen, we are teaming up with Freaky Friday for the Woo-a-thon. We're going to have 5 hours of show combined between Freaky Friday on the Kev Baker Show, which can also be heard on Truth Frequency Radio or TFRlive.com. And then the second episode will be the Paranormal Portal, because I follow them on Friday nights anyway. So Don and I will be joining the Freaky Friday crew on the Kev Baker Show channel on YouTube and on TFR Live as well. And then we'll be coming to the 2-hour show of the Paranormal Portal, and we're going to bring Freaky Friday to us. So we've already had Scotty Lopez on. He came on as a guest once, and we've had Kev on, but we haven't ever had Joe Joseph on. So that should be a good time. It'll be it'll be interesting to see how all 3 of us or all 5 of us talk around each other or over the top of each other, or however the hell this is going to work. But it'll be a great time. I hope you are already subscribed over at the Kev Baker Show channel on YouTube. But if you're not, please get subscribed and ring the bell so you'll know when we go live. But it should be 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time tomorrow night right here on YouTube, right there on the Kev Baker Show to begin. And then we're going to move over to the Paranormal Portal. So it'll be just loads of fun. I don't know I think we'll just keep rolling like that. I think we'll have to jump shows due to the schedule on TFR to keep that congruent. So, but anyway, it should be a great time. I'm really looking forward to it. It should be a lot of laughs, a lot of fun. I see that I didn't get this updated, did I? The on-screen chat. I neglected to do that. I'm just glad everything's working enough that I'm actually on the air because, nothing spells fun like a little technical difficulty on the Paranormal Portal. But nothing is more normal than technical difficulties on the Paranormal Portal as well. It's not even paranormal anymore. It's just the way things roll. But anyway, I guess that's all the laundry right up front. So I hope you're all ready because it's time for bed. And just another side note that I forgot to mention so far, but we had I had a great interview this morning with Helen from West Virginia for the podcast, and that'll be released tomorrow. So definitely tune in for that as well. It was a great discussion. She's a marvelous lady, and she's had a horrible time dealing with some kind of an attachment, and we discussed that at length and had a really great discussion. She's a wonderful person, and I really appreciate her coming on and sharing her experience. And that will air tomorrow on Pandora, Spotify, iTunes, iHeart, etc., etc., etc. And you can catch that wherever you get your podcasts from. You should be able to find the Paranormal Portal. And so check it out. That'll be released. Well, it'll actually be released just after midnight Pacific time. So if you're still awake, looking for something to do, check out that podcast. But if not, check it out tomorrow. And as you're listening to the podcast, ladies and gentlemen, if you like what you hear, we'd really appreciate it if you go over to iTunes and leave us a good review. That'll definitely help more people hear about the portal. So we're just trying to really grow this. So we need your help, as always. The portal has never had a dime of paid advertising. Ever since the beginning, we've never dumped one penny into any kind of paid advertising. This is all grown via grassroots, word of mouth. You guys have shared it with people you know, and for that, I'm incredibly grateful to you, and I'm very proud of that fact. I'm very proud that we never did, any of the gimmicky things like just a sub for sub thing where some people do on YouTube, or some kind of other gimmicky thing where to try to get people to come to us. Never done anything clickbaity or anything. It's just grown because people have found it or they've been told about it by one of you guys. So thank you for all of you that are out there letting people know about the portal. You are the heartbeat of the show. And thanks to our wonderful people in chat. You guys are amazing. Thank you for the great community you guys provide over there. And I can't take much credit for it. It's all you guys. And I appreciate the tone and the friendliness and the love and caring that you guys always show in there. It is, I've heard from many people that have visited our chat room how awesome it is and how amazed they are. And that's all you guys. I mean, thank you for that. You guys have made the place just magical. So I appreciate that. So anyway, I guess I should get to the stuff you tuned in for, right? But I hope you don't mind just going over some laundry off the top end because, I think these things are important. And I always like to say thank you because you guys have made it magical. You really have. So keep spreading the word, though. Don't give up yet. You're not done yet. And if you want to help support the show, check out the links in the description. There's several ways you can help to do that. The portal is a labor of love for both Don and myself, but it's a labor of love, but it's also our blood, sweat, and tears, and that keeps it rolling. And any way you can help is greatly, greatly appreciated. So thank you to those of you who have or can. If you can't donate or do anything like that, then just spread the word. Keep showing up. Keep hitting the likes, and that does a lot as well. So you guys are all contributing, but just throwing it out there. So the links are in the description. Check out those links if you wouldn't mind. It helps us a ton. So let's get to the scary stuff or the spooky stuff or the paranormal stuff. And hopefully you'll enjoy it. We appreciate your generous support. Oh, thank you, Julia, for posting that. I appreciate it. Or in the chat room. So the links are in the description or in the chat room. As we also have the greatest mods anywhere too. So we are just very fortunate. And let's get rolling here. The first story tonight is coming out of California, and it's It has to do with psychic medium experiences. So, a few years after I retired from the fashion industry, I grew tired of being retired. Some of you can relate to this. I know, funny, but so true. After having worked 7 days a week for well over 30 years, I was used to juggling 2 or 3 work projects at one time, and I ran businesses and I raised my 3 children. My husband had a big hand in supporting my busy world, and I admit it. I was and still am a type A person with type A personality. One of the first things I learned was mellow out. Things don't have to be 100% perfect. It took me time to learn that lesson, but I found it really did make my life better, more relaxed, more resistant to giving into fear. It really helped me in dealing with my paranormal experiences as well. I learned to step outside the activity, and it taught me to understand all aspects of the haunting without my emotions coming into play. Want to know how? Taught myself to stay calm, to focus. With subliminal tapes, prayer, and new age music. Some works better than others, but my music seemed to attract ghostly visitation. I'd be sitting on the floor in my living room when apparitions would enter the room. I believe it was a combination of my relaxed state and the music playing. It places me into a ethereal state, and the entities seem to find me easier. It's a long story, but I'll get to the point. I went back to work. You saw that coming, right? I jumped into a type of work I had never done before, and I thought it would be enjoyable. I became a dog walker. Complete opposite of anything I'd ever done in the past, but I knew my love of animals and desire to keep active would be an interesting change, and it really was. In less than a year, I was working when I wanted to work, and I picked and chose my clients and my hours, and the only downside? I was entering a lot of households, and many of them were haunted. I'll share this first experience. This apparition chose to stay on Earth, and I think clinging to the past was his personal enemy. We'll call him Gentleman Jim. His quiet voice and gentle nature lulled me into believing I was safe. The first thing he did when I unlocked the front door, he pulled it open for me and stepped aside. This is why I nicknamed him Gentleman Jim. He opened all the doors in the residence for me. When I entered a room, he stood. You don't see that in this day and age. Gentleman Jim had lived well into his 90s, and he came from an old school of thought where ladies were treated with respect and a step back, no touchy-feely, and the men, well, they were the breadwinners and the support system and the strength of the family unit. He showed himself to me as he had been in the last days of physical life. I saw an elderly gent with a spray of white hair and deep crags and lines across his face. To me, they expressed emotion of someone who laughed freely and laughed often. As time went on, he was no longer a visual transparency, but more solid spectral being. He carried a white mist around him, but I could see him clearly. He clothed himself in the style of the 1940s, just a guess here. Gentleman Jim wasn't a big man in life, slight in girth, and maybe 5'6" at most. His eyes appeared to be brown, and I think that he wore dentures. It's funny, the images I get from the deceased. He kept fooling with his mouth, and he didn't want to smile without placing his hand over his lips. These were probably memories carried over from the physical world. Now, Jim was a softie. The 2 labs belonging to the recent residents of his old home, they knew he was around, and they liked him. There was no fear of him, and I felt warm and cared for when I went there to care for my 2 charges, Louie and Mustard Boy, 2 of the sweetest labs you'll ever encounter. The job was for 3 weeks, and I would be visiting the residents, and Gentleman Jim, 2 times a day from the first hour, I was resolved to convincing him to leave the physical plane. He didn't deserve to be here any longer, and I was confused as to why he chose to stay on. He did seem content, but that's not always the best thing for someone, not even a ghost. He didn't speak much, but when he did, oh my. I would go about playing with the 2 labs, and Jim would follow me with stories of his life. He had been married for 32 years to the most wonderful woman he called the love of my heart and soul. And her name was Edna Rain. Edna Rayan. Rayan, I guess. Okay. And his eyes sparkled when he spoke of her. I took it slow with him. As the days counted down to the final 2 visits, I knew I had to take action. In a soft voice, I encouraged him to speak of Edna. And when I saw the loneliness and longing in his eyes, I told him he needed to go to her. Gentleman Jim seemed genuinely surprised to hear this. It never occurred to him to leave his old home. After all, he'd been there for the part of half a century, the better part of a half century. And as I said, I took it slow, and I was careful with my words. Each apparition is different in what they're willing to hear, and it's hard for some. Jim was ready to go. I had been hoping it would be easy, but you never know until you get started with those words. It's a long or short process sending them. Did you guys hear a weird noise? I don't know. It's a long or short process sending them on, and I have to wait for a kind of energy or power to flow through me. It isn't my doing, and when they move on, I'm just an instrument that is used. I take no credit for their crossing. With lots of prayer and love, they move on. I can only describe what I remember. It's different with each crossing. Did you laugh? I heard a woman's laugh. Yeah, that's kind of what I heard too, Julie. I don't know what that sound was, but it wasn't me. And I don't think I ever can be accused of sounding like a woman. But I heard just like a quick like that. And it was in my headphones. It wasn't in the room. It was in the stuff. So I can only describe what I remember, and it's different with each crossing. Gentleman Jim was gone off to his new adventure, and I felt a sense of loss. I was going to miss him. Funny, but when you get this involved with someone's spirit or soul, you take a little part of them with you. His warm nature I will carry with me always. And I'm sure our paths will cross again, but not in this world. That's cool. Yeah, I don't know what that sound was. So Julia heard it. Did any of you guys hear a weird sound? That was very Brand Spirit Box. Yeah, I don't have it even close to set up. It would take the better part of our show for me to set it up. Yeah, I don't know what that was, ladies and gentlemen, but it was definitely like a squeaky noise in my ear. It was like that. So if you didn't hear that while I was listening to this story, definitely go back and check it out. There's something there. I don't know. It was right in my ear. So I don't know I don't even remember what I was reading at the time. And maybe that was a trigger of sorts. Maybe it's just a glitchy thing. I don't know. Again, with electronics, you can never be sure. There's so many variables involved. And most likely it's just some glitchy crap with the stuff. But I can tell you, I've never heard that before doing the show. And I've done over 600 shows now here on YouTube. So, yeah, that's a new one to me. But you heard it here tonight if you heard it. Moog, you heard it? Okay, yeah. Okay, well, you need a computer gnome in the studio. I really do. I need a producer is what I need. But Don's doing pretty good on the podcast. He's doing wonderful. But yeah, we kind of need a lot of things. But again, it's everything we need comes with a price tag, and so it'll remain the show that it is until we make a lot more money. All right, so yeah, very strange. That stuff happens here from time to time. Again, I'm not saying it's paranormal. I'm really not. I just don't know what it was, but it was really a weird sound at a weird time. So take it or leave it. I got to go back and listen to that and put it on the spectral analysis to see where that sound sits in the wavelength. But it seemed very, very peculiar. All right. Could be a Skype glitch for all I know, really. That's certainly a possibility. Let's go to the next one, and this one is also from California, and this one has to do with apparitions, voices, and touches. It's a very short story. It says the events in this story happened 3 days in a row, starting on Sunday, November 30th, 2008, to Tuesday, December 2nd, 2008. Day 1, I walked into the kitchen at about 8 p.m., making It says making me dinner. Oh, really? You're making yourself dinner? Making me some dinner. As I got myself a plate, I felt someone was behind me. And out of instinct, I stiffened my body and I froze all of a sudden, then was pushed into my counter and felt something hold my head down. With my hand holding the plate, I tried to hit the thing holding me down, but hit nothing but the back of my head. The thing let go and I had a headache. Oh no, that's too bad. Day number 2, at about 5 p.m., I walked into my front lawn to pace around for no reason. No sooner I was outside, a force knocked me to the ground. As I rose to my feet, I was again pushed by a figure I can't see against my mother's van and hitting my head on the side mirrors. As I got away from the car, I tripped and almost hit my head on a lawn chair outside. Day number 3, I was walking from the bathroom to the living room, and as I walked past my couch, I was pushed down, and felt something hold me down. As I tried to break free, I felt the figure push my arms down harder, and then I felt something hit me in the face, making me bleed through my mouth. As I tried to figure out what hit me, I was struck again and cut my lip. I heard something whisper in my ear in a dark, chilly manner, "We picked you." Then I was able to move, and I went to the bathroom to tend to my wounds. I'd been in ghost attacks before, but day 3 was the worst. Please help me. I don't know what's going on. That sounds horrible. Again, this story is from 2008, so I hope she was able to find help. That's horribly scary. It sounds, I don't know, almost poltergeisty. That's crazy. No, you know what? I had something really weird happen today. You guys want to go on a really wild journey with me? I don't know what to make of this. Now, normally I don't talk a lot about my own experiences. I've shared several of them on the show, but I've got to talk to you guys about this because I'm absolutely baffled. And this is straight up on the life of my children. This is a true story. I would never insult you guys by bringing you fabrications. I have nothing to gain from it. But this did indeed happen today, and I'm absolutely confused. I don't know what to make of it. So, what happened today was I got in the car, and I went to the post office, and I had the minion with me, and we got out of the car at the post office with the packages that we had to mail, and we're in the post office. We get it all set, all taken care of, and we come out. Get the minion back in the car seat, and he's all secured and shut in the car. And I get in the driver's seat and start up the car, put on the seatbelts, the whole works. I believe in being safe, and I back up. I start backing up very, very slowly. I'm always really careful. I'm a very careful driver. I don't screw around. I don't need to deal with that kind of stuff. I always am very, very attentive and very careful when I drive, and I'm backing up. And the way the post office is situated here in town is the post office is a little short building, and it butts basically up to another building that sits. So the post office front is here, and then here is the other building, and you drive in, and we parked right here, facing the front of the post office. So I'm backing out. I'm checking my mirrors, looking over my shoulder, making sure everything is fine, and it is. And I'm looking at the building that it butts up against. Now, in front of this building is it's like one of those guardrails like you see along the highway, those metal rails that have the wood posts, and they're about 3 feet high. They just keep people from driving off the road. Generally, they're just to absorb shock and keep people from careening off of inclines and stuff. Well, that's kind of what's in front of this building in the parking lot of the post office. I'm watching that very carefully in my mirrors and watching around also to make sure there's no people or other vehicles there. And suddenly, I'm about 3 feet away from that guardrail. My car runs into something that's not there. And it's not like an impact. It was like like I was going crawly speed. I'm crawling along. Whatever I bumped into was significant enough. It stopped the car. I'm still 3 or 4 feet away from this guardrail. There's nothing behind me. And I'm thinking, oh my God, what did I run into? What the hell is this? So I inch closer, or I put it in drive or in first gear and pull away very slowly, looking at the mirrors like, what the hell was that? And in my mirrors behind me, there's nothing. I hit nothing. There was nothing there. This is a true story. I don't know what it could have been. I have no idea what it was, but something impeded the motion of the car, and it was somewhere between the car and this guardrail that's mounted on the side of this building. It stopped the car, actually. I'm going about 1 mile an hour in reverse, and it bumped into something. I can't say I hit it because it wasn't a collision, but I bumped into something, and it stopped my car quick enough that I actually heard the tire. There's kind of like a lot of sand and crap from all the winter. So I actually heard the tire go like it kind of shifted the tire. So it was enough force that it kind of was like I ran into that wall, but I was still 4 feet away from it. And for the life of me, I'm just like, what the hell was that? What was there something that I couldn't see there? Was something invisible? What the hell is that? So I'm absolutely perplexed. I'm not making any claims. I don't know what it was. I have no clue. I just know that I didn't hit anything. I was not close enough to actually have hit that building. And I looked at the bumper when I got out again to look at the car to see if there was any scuff marks, any impact marks, because the car's dirty. So I would see where if I hit something, it would have rubbed it, really clean. It would have scraped it or something. There's no mark on the bumper where it was wiped clean or anything. So this is, I don't know what to tell you. It's very strange. But does anybody in the chat have any idea about that? Let me know. I really don't know. But it's a true story. I hit something that wasn't there. I don't know what to do with that, folks. I really don't know what to do with that. That's just, it's something that happened today. It's boggling my imagination because there was something that I ran into, but it wasn't there. So I don't know. Let me know if you guys think of anything of it. Yeah. So Brent, do you think something was looking out for you? Maybe, but there was nothing there. I mean, it wasn't like it stopped me from hitting anything. As I was saying, I'm very careful about the mirrors and stuff. So it's not like I just went, screw it, put it in reverse and just, throw caution to the wind. I'm like, granny driver a lot of times. So I was real careful and I don't know. If that was the case, maybe there was something there I couldn't see, but nothing ran out. No body came out of that space. I don't know. It just, it's another first for me, but it really happened. I don't know what to make of it. I don't pretend to know, but something really bizarre happened. So I wanted to share it with you guys. Maybe a guardian angel. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Was there something there that I couldn't possibly have seen? It's an old building. Coffee shop has moved. Yeah. It's where the old coffee shop was. It's that building. I was backing towards it, but I wasn't anywhere near that, Julia. So I don't know. It's really kind of got my head, warped and just trying to figure out what that was. So, I mean, after it happened, I was just like, I've been thinking like crazy about it ever since. And, since you guys always share your stories, you share your experiences. So when they come up for me, I'll share them with you. And again, I'm not making any judgment calls on what it actually was, but whatever it was significant. It was whatever was there that I couldn't see was significant enough to stop my car. And, it's a regular size sedan rolling in reverse, basically just rolling because I was just letting the clutch out a little just to edge us backwards. But it was enough to stop the car and like stop it like now. It wasn't like, it wasn't like a gradual slow. It was just so whatever I plunked into was enough to stop to arrest that motion like instantly. Very cool, very wild. I don't know. Titan says there's a really sore gnome somewhere tonight, Brent. Yeah, poor little fella. I didn't know. He shouldn't have been hanging out behind my tires, I guess, or whatever the hell that was. But true story. I don't know what to make of it. It really did happen, though. So I'm sharing it with you guys. We can investigate that coffee shop. Yeah, I don't know if that coffee shop has any other claims, Julia, but it really wasn't in it. It was outside of it, and in fact, it was in the parking lot of the post office. So I just wanted to share that with you guys. I was kind of throwing it back and forth, like, is this something I want to talk about? Because I don't know what it is, and it's one of those things that I guess I was hoping to have maybe reached some kind of conclusion about what it could be, but it would just be wild speculation on my part. It would just be wild speculation for me to go, well, what I think it was Sasquatch that was cloaked. No, I don't know. I don't know what it was, but it was there, and it stopped the car about 4 feet away from the only barrier that was present. So very interesting, but true story nonetheless. Thank you guys for your thoughts on that. I appreciate that. Maybe someone had backed into and passed. Every time someone backs out, it happens. Rob, I appreciate that. That's an interesting idea. But I'll tell you, I'm at that post office every day doing that same parking job and, pulling out the same way. Not always in the same parking spot. But I have parked in the same spot before and backed out, without issue. So I really don't know. It was just really peculiar. Very, very peculiar. But it happened. True story. Yeah, I don't know. It's just weird. I don't know. But that's how it rolls, ladies and gentlemen. The paranormal happens when it happens. And again, I can't quite say it was paranormal, but it was really weird. So just throwing that out to you. Let's get to the next story. And this one's coming from Michigan. I got family in Michigan. All right. And apparently it's a story from somebody's friend. And it says, I think the best place for ghost hunting would have to be my college. I have a few friends who have varying levels of sixth sense, and the paranormal activity is sometimes so strong it can be sensed in the day when students, teachers, and cars are passing by. It's pretty cool if you're into that sort of thing. The best example of how haunted it is would be the ghost hunt my friends and I did a night before this year's Halloween. October 30th, we started at about 10:30 p.m. A group of 4, I, my boyfriend, Jane, and John, names excluded and substituted for privacy. I am admittedly not very tuned into the supernatural. I've picked up smells and sounds, but that's about it. My boyfriend is much more active, and he can sense heat, cold, and can generate a lot of spiritual energy that attracts a great amount of ghosts, which gets him into a lot of trouble sometimes. Jean is able to obtain residual memories of past events, by getting in contact with the ghosts. In this way, she can pick up on emotions, ages, names, dates, etc. John was in the same boat as me, an open-minded observer. Our destination was Holmdene, Holmdene, the reputed most haunted building on campus. Well, that night we sensed 5 spirits, 6 if you count the terrier, which was the first spirit, and next was the boy who drowned in the pond by Holmdene. His name was Michael. And we were using the pendulum method with car keys, which worked the last time we encountered him, but he ran after the first couple of questions. Looking back, this seemed rather foreboding of what was to come. By this time, Jane was being pulled towards the side of the building to one of the windows, and she sensed a maid standing by the window, and the woman was scared. And Jane said it was as if something bad was going on past the window in the meeting room, and the maid was scared of the outcome. My boyfriend got a chill, and Jane told us that the maid was pushing us back as if to protect us from what was going on in that room. So we left to walk around the back of Holmdene. By the corner, Jane found a butler standing stationary, probably smoking a cigarette, she said, and my boyfriend also sensed him, slightly cold neutrality. The butler did not care about us, both of them said. And sometime during this incident, I heard faint music, as if it was coming out of an old-fashioned record player. You know, the one with a horn? Well, it didn't really scare me at the time because a lot of college students played music really loud at night. This was an old-fashioned music from the early 1900s, waltzing almost. But I'll save that significance until the end of close to the end. We rounded the back. My boyfriend sensed hands pressing from behind. Yesterday around 10:30 p.m., he had also sensed the same feeling walking in front of Holmdene, much to my chagrin, so he knew this feeling, which was not hot or cold, but a physical feeling like someone was hanging on to him from behind. Jane got a name, Samantha. We used the pendulum method again to figure out if that was really her name, and according to this method, it was, and she was scared. This is why she was hanging on to my boyfriend's coat and why she had been following him the day before. Then what followed her really freaked us out. John, surprisingly, was the first person to sense him. He said he smelled something burning, like incense. He stopped and sniffed, and I smelled wood burning, like pine trees, and the other two smelled cigar smoke or pipe smoke. Now, analyze these smells. The smell of incense could symbolize a good spirit. The pine trees is a good, neutral good spirit. But the last smell, what they smelled was tobacco. Maybe that means someone was with us who had possibly been a smoker, but Samantha was scared of it. She hid behind my boyfriend the entire time. We were standing in a circle, and my boyfriend next to Jane and John across from her, and me to the right. When we decided to ask Samantha some questions about the spirit that was scaring her, and what we got was that he was bad. He was the stableman of Bukowski Chapel, which used to be a stable. The guy was horrible news. He tried to attack John, who was beginning to have pain in his shoulder blades, and he followed us all the way to the edge of Holmdene. The cigar smoke turned into burning rubber, and it stank. And we left as fast as we could, and Samantha was close behind. It was only half of what went on that night. Jane later got possessed by Samantha, and we were able to ask Sam some questions about her death. It was a dangerous thing that took us by surprise, but luckily Samantha was not a negative ghost, just a sad one. And Jane was able to get a hold of her body within a few minutes. The hunt ended around 1 a.m., and we were all satisfied, some more so than others. But that brings us to the music I heard. It didn't take note of it then, and I had put it out of my head for good until one of my other friends, a person with high level of the sixth sense who did not go on the hunt, told me about some of her experiences in Holmdene. She said there's a spirit on the third floor of Holmdene that freaked her out, who was really eerie. My friend got the feeling this woman was crazy, but evil crazy. According to her, this woman always sang a song about burning children or drowning them, stuff that would make someone, that would put someone in the loony bin right away. Something about what my friend said sparked my interest, and I inquired about the song and asked her to sing it. And she sang a line, and I froze in my tracks. It was the same old-fashioned song I had heard during our hunt at Holmdene. With ghosts, demons, and angels around every corner, and people who do not normally have a sense for the paranormal suddenly finding that they're being watched by something, that something is lurking in the shadows, and that the shadows move. It's a very active location for spirits, and what I think is the most haunted place in Michigan. Holmdene. There you have it. Put it on our travel brochure. Let's get over there. This one is coming from Oklahoma, and pretty long one. It's reasonably long. Let's see what it says. Excuse me. When I was much younger than I am now, we had a spirit living with us. Sometimes when I would fill the dog bowl with food at 5:30 every day, as part of my chore and father's strict rules I had to obey. Upon entering the kitchen with the dog bowl in hand, the closet door holding the animal's valued bag of food would open on its own accord. It made itself visible quite often, and the overall experience was a pleasant one. I only got scared a few times, but mostly due to not knowing what was going on. Later, we had to move from the house, and I have had zero encounters with anything for over a decade. I'm now living in an apartment with a wife and a new son. My wife was complaining that sometimes the baby swing would move on its own accord or things in the kitchen would fall while she was in the shower or watching television. We went out of state for a few days for Thanksgiving vacation to have good times with the family and relax, and she stayed out of state to see her family for a bit more. She's grown quite homesick in our new place. 2 nights ago, I got home from the first time in 5 or 6 days and tiredly checked my email, dragged in all of my packed belongings, and went to sleep trying to get ready for Monday's work. During the course of the night, around 3:30 a.m., I woke out of my slumber, absolutely terrified. It was fast, and I was fully alert, and all I knew was something was not right. I tried to call for help, but all I could muster was a whisper. I couldn't talk or move. I've only felt this way once, between the ages of roughly 3 and 8 years of age. I would have a dream, and I would be in a fire-lit hut. I could hear the fire and saw the roof of the structure looked like that of mud and hay, and eventually I'd start to rise toward the roof, and once I reached the top, I would awaken the exact same way, paralyzed and helpless, most terrified and scared. I got the feeling when I awoke suddenly that I was not alone. After a few minutes, I could move again and just rolled over and pulled the covers tightly around me. While trying to relax my mind and tell myself things were going to be okay, and I just needed to get some rest, I got a fast and hard tug from my back, pulling the covers, and I hurt my neck a little from the force that was applied. I felt the tug and had time to think about it, and was about to turn around when I found myself paralyzed again. After a small piece of time, I mustered a word, my name, just to see if I could talk. Satisfied that I could, I just turned on my back and watched the ceiling, wondering why I was getting so scared. I hadn't felt this in ages, and I was awake. Why was I feeling this? The paralysis came and went for a while. I just laid there helpless, just wanting it to stop. Finally, I got about 10 minutes of peace and started to think that things were going to be okay. It had passed. Suddenly, all of my covers were thrown to the foot of the bed. It was about 4:30 a.m. at this time, and I wanted to run, and that's what I did when I was younger. Just ran outside and waited for my parents to get home. It was strange to think back then I was a much or a little more brave than I am now. I wanted lights on, but I didn't want to risk moving out of fear of what would happen from my bed to the lights. I knew something was there, and I wanted to try and talk, but I didn't. I lay there frozen like it's a statue until the sun came up at about 7 a.m., and from 4:30 to 7 a.m., nothing happened. Satisfied I could see, I cautiously arose from the bed. I asked whatever was there to please not to do that again, as it scares me half to death, and with all of my work, I can't afford to be kept up all night. I stated if it needs help, I will, and if not, to kindly leave. I suppose I write this because I have no idea what to do. I'm now sleeping in the living room with all the lights and TV on. I've been reading here over the past several days, and most agree it's good not to give in to fear, and I think the paralysis is my response to that fear, any way to get rid of it. I feel since this is twice I have had strange encounters, and the first encounter lasting around 10 years, I need to learn how to take a stand and react. Any and all suggestions are welcome. That's tough. That's a tough one. Being paralyzed is horrible. Is the stream okay? I got a red connection mark here, so I'm just looking to see what it looks like. Green on the broadcasting software, but red on YouTube. Are you guys hearing me and seeing me okay, or is it laggy? What are you guys experiencing? We good? Duke says we good. Okay. It's too good, Brent. Okay, good. Okay, I don't know what that is then, but YouTube is telling me I got a poor connection, but my streaming software says it's excellent, so I'm not sure. Just trying to make sure the quality of show you're watching is the quality you deserve. Because that's how we roll here on the portal, ladies and gentlemen. All good things come in the portal. I don't know if that's always true, but you get a portal anyway. It's not always the best portal, but it's the best one I can give you. I don't know. It's just being quirky. But as long as you guys are seeing and hearing me okay, I guess we're okay. Okay. All right. We'll go with it. I'm just watching to see if it changes, but it's not. All right. The next story, ladies and gentlemen, is coming from California. And this says, oh, this is a long one. Good Lord. This will be the last one for the night. It says, I was out shopping for Christmas gifts a few years ago when I saw a man hiding behind a row of trash cans. That is until I realized I was looking at a spectral man and not a living being. Taking a closer look at the apparition, I was surprised to see his attire. He was projecting himself dressed in a Santa suit. It was clear as a bell. The white fur collar and cuffs were stained and dirty. The red coat and pants were covered in debris and heavily stained in the crotch. Ugh, that's lovely. He urinated where he lay down dying? Ugh, I thought to myself. So sad he chose to hang on to that memory. I tried to look natural standing next to the row of trash receptacles, pretending to search through my purse, of course. One eyeball was on the ghostly Santa, and I tried to figure out if the apparition was planning to get up anytime soon. The holiday crowd wandered past me from both directions. Trying to be patient, I waited, keeping up the ruse of digging through my bag. He picked up my energy and dragged himself upright. He started to rock back and forth. He was showing me he had been in great pain prior to dying. Squatting down to ground level, I hoped no one was watching me because it was about to look like a person talking to herself. Oh well, it just couldn't be helped. The Santa image faded for a moment, and I saw the man inside the suit. It didn't last long, but I saw enough. A series of pictures were shown to me, and it wasn't good. He was ashamed to give me his name, but he called himself a pitiful example to humankind. This man had lived on the streets and in this way since leaving the military, enlisting in the army right after high school. He got out when his time was up, and it was here, on the streets of downtown San Diego, where he lived and where he died. This time in between, he can't remember much of it. He was deep into booze and he drank more than he ate. I saw the last 6 months of his physical existence, and he was sick. More sick than he realized. The intestinal cancer had spread throughout his system, and the only way he could bear it was to drink even more. His street buddies gave him the bottles, and someone found the old Santa suit in a nearby Salvation Army. At least he was warm at night, but the pain kept him up. And towards the end, all the booze in the world couldn't mask the pain, and he gave in to it. On a cold winter's eve, the man in the dirty Santa suit, he passed away. No friends nearby, no family he could remember. He was all alone. My heart was aching with his loneliness, and I told him I had to go, but I would be back. I vowed to return after dark to help him, and hopefully there would be less people around. I didn't want an audience while I sent this soul on. I just hoped he would go. Many times they refuse. Some punish themselves for an eternal period, and I wonder if this is what hell truly is. A place of self-loathing, where punishment is dealt by the way we lived and the way we treated others. I don't know, but what I do know, I wouldn't want to end up in the soiled Santa specter. Looking at the clock, I got in my car and drove back to the area. I saw the ghostly Santa. He was still there, a wavering mist of suffering. He shivered and shook and gasped. This body, rocking, had taken on a panic state. His memory was full of the pain, frenetic. I was alarmed at seeing and feeling this, and I could tell he was going to relive his death again. Do you know you don't have to do this any longer? Do you know you can leave here? I asked him. He glanced at me and told me to go away. I tried again. You can cross over and find peace. You don't want this for yourself, do you? He said, I don't deserve to be anywhere but right here. Now, you go away. I can't be helped. He faded again, and the last I saw of him, he was still rocking in place. Sometimes they just won't go, and you can't make them move if they don't want to go. Well, my heart just fell. He was lost, and I couldn't do a thing to change the outcome. I wish I knew what his story was, but you can't drag that out of them. If they don't want to bear that part of their soul, they won't. Downtown San Diego has a society of homeless men, women, and children. They are the unseen, the ones people look past and ignore. Many die in the streets, and no one seems to care. They are the drug addicted, the alcoholics, the pained ones with broken spirits. Most of them have nowhere to go, and the city gobbles them up in the concrete jungle. I see the aftermath, the spectral leftovers, the ones who continue to be punished and abused because they think that they deserve it. We need to change things the way living people see each other. Humanity needs to stop judging others for circumstances that may be way beyond their control. Instead of walking past, people need to get involved and find a program where they can help. Until that day comes, if ever, myself and those like me will try to help the self-induced carnage of suffering souls and throwaways, the invisible, who continue to hurt in their afterlife. Yeah, that's a horrible situation. That's truly sad if that's their life is just wrapped up in that pain and that self-loathing, that damage. If that's the experience that they have, that's so very horrible, and nobody should live that way. That's just too bad. I'm sorry to hear that. That's truly disturbing. And I guess you can't save them all. I mean, nobody can save all the living. So I suppose the same is true for those that are no longer living in our plane of existence anyway. So that's the show tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Again, tomorrow night, the Freaky Friday crew and the Paranormal Portal will meld and become the Paranormal Friday. I don't know, Freaky Portal. I don't know how it'll be, but we're going to have a good time anyway. So I hope you guys head over, if you're not already subscribed to the Kev Baker Show and hit that bell so you get notified when we go live. But from 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time until 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, we will be working together and having a hell of a time, I'm sure. So given all 5 of us sharing a show, it's either going to be controlled chaos or uncontrolled chaos, but chaos will ensue. You can bet on it. So, but that's going to wrap it up for me. Freaky Friday, the Paranormal Portal, the 13th. Yes, indeed. It'll be Friday the 13th as well. Now, I will say, some as you can. Love you all, and I will see you tomorrow night starting at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on the Kev Baker Show, as Don and I are their guest for 3 hours, and then come to the portal for our 2-hour normal evening. So good night, everybody. Love you bunches. Oh, and Al Tyus will be joining us on Saturday. He's a paranormal author, an excellent guy, wonderful conversationalist, and a very knowledgeable person. So I hope you join us on Saturday night's show as well. So that's all coming up on the Paranormal Portal. And with that, I'm out of here. Sweet dreams.